Hey students, welcome to episode 37 of the Film Student Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Lazzeroni. My guest this week is Matthew Herman from the brand spankin' new Yellow Cohort. He's my first guest from the Yellows. We talk about what directing class is like with John Mossman, Matthew's love of late night TV, and the pain of trying to shoot a noir film with no crew. I can't believe he did it. No matter how bad it turned out, still worthwhile. On with the show.
I ended up here because the wonderful Danny Marshall told me about this.
Former guest on the show himself.
Former guest, longtime viewer. I was living with him, actually, when he was applying to this. Right out of college, we went to Washington University in St. Louis. And I helped him a little bit make his intro video or whatever. Video
submission video.
Cover letter, whatever. Which was fun and piqued my interest, but I already had a job in New York lined up.
What was that one?
It was the worst job. It was for corporate live streaming. So my job was to carry gear from one place to another, set it up, watch the single most boring presentation you can imagine. It was mostly pharmaceutical companies reporting how much fucking money they made. And then dismantle all of it and take it back to the office. So my job was like 50% manual labor, 50% monitoring audio for an hour, but having to be very vigilant for like the entire time because if it messes up, we're live streaming.
Yeah.
So it was just horrible from every perspective, and my boss was a dick, and I hated it. So then I was like, what else can I do? None of my skills actually make money, so I will go to a school that hopefully will allow me to gain the marketable skills to do something I actually like and make money from it.
Well, you see, you had some skills. You had some production background presumably for that job, or did you just gain it from that job?
My production background was one film class in college that I liked, and then just like a bunch of small projects. My film degree was all theoretical, which was seriously, it was all history and like theory. It wasn't
application of any kind?
Nope, not really, except for the one film class where I made 2 films.
That's unfortunate.
Super useful.
But you at least made something, which is a benchmark of some sort. Like there's people out there that are just comatose at the idea of or not comatose, paralyzed at the idea of being able of creating something.
Oh yeah, if you want to go online and look for AstraZeneca Q3 earnings call, I am all over that shit. I produced it so well. You would never know that I was about to kill myself in the background.
And so you are a member of the brand new Yellow Cohort. So
yes.
You're the oddly enough, you all are the first underclassmen to come in under my cohort, Cyan and Magenta, because we didn't have a term during the summer this past year. So you guys, it's going to be interesting because you're going to be the upperclassmen come next term. So come January, you all are the elder statesmen in the house.
That is going to be odd. We're not going to have anyone.
That's kind of sad. Not actually. since the first cohort going through has that been the case. But yeah. there's still plenty of there'll be presumably plenty of my era cohorts hanging out. There's already a bunch of reds and oranges that are still here, so you've got people that you can pull in.
Yeah, who am I going to get to do my grunt PA work though? That's
going to be the tough part. It's going to have to be your cohort and or anybody you can pull in from outside, aka Danny, because he's not busy.
Nah. I've seen him in his natural habitat. He does nothing. So.
Yeah. And that's a ringing endorsement for Danny Marshall for any position that you may need him for. He
great
does,
guy, great
quote
guy,
unquote, nothing.
but he does nothing.
So, what was your submission for this? Like, what did you do for the written piece? What did you do for the the work sample?
For the written piece, I wrote. There was a prompt about what you want to see in the landscape, the media landscape from then on. And I wrote about how few shows there are that have kind of subtle LGBT representation, and just like generally smart humor surrounding LGBT topics.
Yeah.
And like I mentioned some shows like I think Brooklyn Nine-Nine does it really well. I think Broad City does it really well. But besides that, not all of the shows I watch.
Yeah.
I didn't see a lot of it, so I was just writing about kind of using a smarter, I don't know, smarter
lens or something like that.
Yeah, you can cut all this out. But,
but
essentially, good representations of LGBT individuals.
Yeah.
Written well.
Yeah. Okay. And so that was your written sample. What did you submit for a work sample?
My work sample was a short I wrote for college. One of the 2 films I actually made.
Okay.
But I submitted the script of a noir detective, who you can hear his voiceover, and it slowly becomes apparent that everyone can hear his voiceover, just not him.
Okay.
So he's interviewing this woman who he thinks killed her husband, and she's just hearing everything, like his internal monologue, and then he starts hearing hers and finds out she did kill him, and they're just trying to like play it cool while it's very obvious what the other is doing.
And you said you submitted the script for it, not the
script,
not the finished video, even though you did shoot it.
I did shoot it. It did not turn out especially well because the audio equipment I was using was horrendous, and it was kind of all about audio, audio cues and the voiceover and stuff like that. So it did not turn out.
Would you refilm it?
I really want to refilm it. I have thought about doing that for my final film here, but I kind of want to write a new script and do something different.
Because the piece that I used for a submission, we filmed it twice. Because and with most of the same cast, same location, same dialogue, really didn't change anything in it just the first time I filmed it didn't turn out like it
happens.
I was too far back from the subjects, like it just didn't hit. But I knew the script was really funny because every time we read it and working up to it was hysterical. But then we got the final edit together, and I'm like, what the hell is this? So I have an edited version of the original one that's terrible. And then the one that we wound up reshooting, which turned out great, and like won stuff from Project Greenlight on HBO and stuff like it was a lot better.
Wow,
we did a lot better the second time around. But it's amazing just what you learn from the first time through on something. What you can turn around and fix the second time. Yeah, and there's been stuff that I've done in the past that I'm like, I could go back and do that again. Like I kind of get the George Lucas angle of like, I want to fix these things that are wrong with but in the same breath, once you're a fan of the original, it's like, don't fuck with it. But
yeah, that's fair. I did all the production myself like an idiot. I had one person helping me carry gear, but like I was trying to set up noir lighting and like put boom mics on like long poles to get them out of the shot, and not just like stupid crazy stuff that would have been so easy with a bunch of people had I just asked them to do it. But I was like, no, I can do it. It's going to be easy. And then it was very
nobody else has been smart enough to try this by themselves.
Right.
I will be the first and prove that it can be done.
Exactly.
And it didn't. So you're now half a term into classes. What have you kind of surmised the program is like so far? Like what are you actually getting the most out of?
I think I'm getting the most out of just trying a whole bunch of shit.
Yeah.
I come from mostly a writing background. That's kind of what I like to do and what I think I'm best at. So I've done sketches and stuff like that, a little bit of acting, but I've never really directed. Kind of the most I've done of that is I've helped people set up their sketches for filming a little bit. But even that, I'm not like directing actors.
Yeah.
So I've been enjoying directing with Mr. John Mossman a lot.
Yeah.
But it is also
Mossman is a trip.
He is. He's an interesting guy. A lot of stories.
He has. So he's a stage director as well, stage and film, and has developed this sense of I don't know. It's not. It's like a non-filter for taboo topics and things like he will dive straight into any topic and just be totally comfortable with it to the point where you're like, what, should I be this comfortable with this conversation that we're having? But
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, you just got to get over it and do it. But it makes it very interesting in class.
He was telling us all about his play featuring, or about, not featuring, Jesus, online pedophiles.
Yeah, I've heard about that one. Yeah.
And it sounded very intriguing, and like I definitely did not want to see it.
Not only did I hear about that one, I did see it. I saw
Okay,
their,
how was it?
It's good. It's dark. And it's just 3 people that are in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was heavy. Like me
Really?
and a couple classmates went.
I wouldn't
and
have
just,
thought.
It just is. Yeah. And so, kind of coming from like comedy film school and seeing Mossman, who's kind of just like, I don't know about happy-go-lucky, but he's in that territory. Like,
He's a bit of a goof.
yeah,
I like it.
like you always say, it's like he just looks like he wants to have fun, and then just finding him doing like the darkest subject matter that's 100% serious.
Yeah.
There's like maybe 2 jokes in the entire thing, and they're very half-hearted. Like,
I think it's maybe not the most fertile ground for comedy.
they find a couple bits in there, but all right. So you're enjoying his class.
Directing's been great. Honestly, all the classes have been wonderful.
Yeah.
I like all the teachers here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the variety that I like most, I think. I am looking forward to session 3 and kind of getting into more singularly focusing on 1 or 2 projects.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, I'm kind of enjoying just the diversity.
Yeah. Well, and that's a big thing if you just don't have the experience of producing a lot of stuff. Or for me, it was working on other people's sets. Like I'd worked on my own sets, but I hadn't really done anything on anybody else's.
Mm-hmm.
So it was helpful just to kind of see that side of the coin.
Yeah.
And see what it's like to just be a cog in someone else's wheel.
Mm-hmm.
And just be like, I have creative ideas, but it's not my story. It's not my thing. Like, I can toss something out there and see if it lands, but if it doesn't, I got to learn to just back off and deal with it.
Yeah.
Have you you have a unique case in that you came in with a group, like a little triad, the 3 of you.
Yeah.
And
did.
that's unique because I don't think in any other past cohorts that there've been more than maybe 2 people that came in that knew each other, know, on a close level coming in. But you and Lucas and Alex all came in together.
We did. I lived with Alex Felder, actually with Danny Marshall.
Okay.
And then Lucas is just a close friend who was in the same improv group as Felder.
Mm-hmm.
So we were all very close in college, and Lucas is a year younger than us.
Okay.
So he applied right out of college, and we applied a year later. But it's been great.
Yeah.
I really like having them here. The only thing is that I feel like maybe we're a little cliquish, you know? There's we've been told that a few times.
Sure.
While we've been here. And I do think I need to branch out. That being said, I've done every project with them so far. And I've been in all of their projects. So yeah, we probably need to be more inclusive.
It's tough. I mean, you do find like the people that you like working with early and often, like, and that's going to be the same when you start working with the outside actors, because I think later this term you'll have to start bringing actors in. Have you had any of those classes yet?
Yeah, we have our first like real directing piece this Thursday.
Okay.
Once again, I kind of just cast other friends in Chicago.
Okay.
From school. Just because it's a bit more convenient, it's easier to work around their schedules that I know better.
In school, as in
Harold
WashU.
Ramis,
or
in WashU.
okay, yeah, and branch out, find some actual. I know it's tough, like, but honestly, it gets better once you start to find the people outside the program. And it's not to say you can't fill out a cast with people inside, but I mean, you look at most of the term 3s that are going on, and there's a couple, HRFS. Students and alum that are in them, but a lot of what you're going to see are outside actors that they pulled in.
Sure.
But there's some consistent ones. There's Zach Kinnaird you're going to see. And, Adriana, I think, is going to be at least 1 or 2. Tchaikovsky.
We had some actors come in for one of our directing days, and they were amazing.
Yeah.
Like, some of them were, I was like, these people should be on TV. Shout out specifically, not the only one, but Cassidy Russell. I don't know if you know her. She was amazing.
She was in one of my things last term.
Yeah.
She's actually from DC, so I met her randomly the first weekend that I was here, the second weekend or something like that, because we did like a DC expats lunch out, because me and one of my roommates both moved out here at the same time. He's not attached to the program; he just was moving out here at the same time. But yeah, so I met her through that. But yeah, she's a trip.
Yeah,
very, very talented. She's in Secret Lawyer, the IO sketch video team.
Oh, okay, cool.
Along with Zach that I was talking about a minute ago.
Ah,
both of them
okay.
in there together, and Meredith Weir, who I just had on last week, she's one of the directors for that same team. So
cool.
There's a lot of overlap there. But so she was in. Anybody else that stood out?
Zach was also
Okay.
great. I mean, I asked Cassidy to be in this upcoming scene. She was like, "I'm just too busy with other people's stuff." And I was like, "Yeah, that makes sense." And then I was going to ask Zach, but I just decided to go with some friends, make it easy this time, and be a little bit more proactive.
You got one no and went for a safety zone.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Get used to it. It happens. My term 3, I'm down to like the fourth lead on the list that we'd gone through, and it's not like it wasn't a ranked list, but it was literally like we tried kind of each one to try and do meetings first, and it was the fourth one before we actually got somebody we were able to meet with.
Yeah,
like, and so
people are busy.
Yeah, but she turned out to be great, and she's the one that's in it, so that's a good thing. So what are you trying to do in the long run? What's your end goal out of this?
Long run, I think get into a writer's room of some kind. Preferably late night would be absolute creme de la creme.
Okay. Like
something
you want to do, like joke, just like a monologue writing and that sort of thing?
Monologue is great. I love John Oliver and John Oliver's show. I think it's some of the smartest stuff going on right now. I'm very into politics and very into like, I don't know, all these infrastructure stuff and just like what's going on in the world. I love that.
Should get more involved with the news here.
Yeah, I would love to.
That's what I just did earlier tonight. We had a congressman on for that was our guest for
I saw, yeah.
So yeah, it's a good chance to do something local, and I feel like it's tough to get into some of those that are already established versus if you find something that's like on its way up.
Yeah,
like you can get into it more easily, and like if nothing else, it gives you a good chance to work on cut your chops on something that's regular here.
Yeah, no, I would absolutely love to. I love writing topical jokes and stuff like that.
And you've got a Holly Wartell workshop that I'm sure is coming up either later this term or sometime next term, and she's actually a late night writer.
Really?
She comes in and does
cool.
like a joke writing workshop with you.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so you'll get a chance to hear it from somebody who does it professionally. Like, and it's interesting how simple it is when you break it down. Like it's not something that's so unattainable. It's kind of like, here's the mechanics. Here's your setup. Here's your punchline. Now, different people will have their own styles for setup and punchline. She pointed out, she was like, Conan O'Brien, he'll always make it like self-defacing as far in order to get the laugh. And I'm like, he does do that. Like I never really put that together, that like each person has their kind of own delivery method. Yeah. But like it's interesting then taking that step back and seeing how each of the late night people does their delivery and how it works for them. Yeah, I mean, we in college we started kind of a sketch group with a weekend update type segment. Nice. Where we were doing some of those jokes, and Danny Marshall was the host for some of those shows. I thought you were going to say for some unknown reason. For some reason, the lazy, untalented Danny Marshall was no. Danny was the creator of the group and the president for a while, and he was mostly involved in the weekend update because he was just too busy to be in sketches and stuff like that. But I noticed that Danny's writing style is, once again, very personal. He reflects it back. He makes it a self-deprecating thing. Felder, I've noticed his jokes are like abstract. They go into the weird. I always try and make mine sketches. Like his writing is more that way too. But yeah. But I definitely notice what you're saying. Like there's a distinct style for each. Nice. And so you want to go into that sort of thing. And what's the end goal? You just want to do that for a living, or would you like? Are you somebody who wants to get in front of the camera with it, or do you like being behind the scenes? I just don't think I'm a great actor. Quite honestly, I don't think I would be able to
be in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I quite have the chops for it. But behind the camera and writing and directing, maybe in a little bit, show running, any of that.
Yeah.
Maybe writing, for my own scripted show would be wonderful. I have some ideas, HBO, if you want to contact me.
Well, you've heard of like the New York Television Festival and stuff like that, right? Okay,
yeah,
so
sure, but remind me.
That one, you basically, it's something that has come up in the television world. Is like their kind of hotbed to find new talent. I think it'll come up at the beginning of next term. You'll start hearing about it because it comes out. I want to say in May is when they actually have the festival or close the submissions or something like that. But the festival itself, it's a spot where you can submit scripts or you can submit like samples of pilots of television episodes, and if it gets selected, it screens there, and you have to go if you get into it because then sometimes you'll get meetings with television, I don't even know, development people or talent search agents and stuff like that, and you can potentially sell a show. And there's been a handful of shows that have sold from that festival, but it's growing. Like last year was the first year I think Comedy Central was a sponsor for it, as a way of looking for more stuff in their pipeline. But all of the major networks are now sending people to it to search and see if they can find like the next thing that fits.
Wow. Okay.
And so if you're writing, you can have a script written, get that submitted, and see if you can get in, or even more slots exist if you can get something created. And it doesn't have to be the full pilot. That was the thing that I was surprised at. They were like, yeah, we really don't usually want to see full pilots. We want to see like maybe 8 to 10 minutes of a pilot.
Okay, yeah, just a little snippet to get a taste of
the biggest couple scenes in the episode. Like, let's see those. And a lot of them will do like stunt casting. So there was one that was in last year that Lin-Manuel Miranda was in, and there's but there are people in Chicago that will hop into your stuff. I mean, I worked on a term 3 last term that had Dave Pasquesi in it from TJ and Dave and Veep, and
wow, that's unbelievable.
And Julia Sweeney has been in a bunch of term 3 films because she was here doing a run in Judy's Beat Lounge. She had her own show for a while that was I can't remember if it was like retrospective. She left like right around the time I got here, but there were a bunch of people that have her in their final films because she just did a bunch of them all at once. She was like, yeah, sure.
Who knew the Second City would be connected? Well
I
connected,
know.
huh?
If only someone would have warned me ahead of time that I was going into this.
I thought it was going to be a little indie place that you just shoot on your phone and make it easy.
So what stuff are you actually looking forward to in the program beyond now the Hollywood Hotel Workshop that you didn't know about?
Looking forward to. I am really looking forward to writing and shooting a film with a whole crew, because I've never really done that.
Yeah.
I've shot some of my own stuff that was real crappy, like I've already talked about, but never anything resembling real professionalism.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to just being able to like interact with a bunch of other really talented, really creative people to accomplish a 10-minute film of my own devising.
How is the Yellow Cohort? Because I've interacted with a few of you individually, but not really as a cluster group to kind of see what the dynamic is of the group.
The teachers have been saying we have a light, which I don't know what that means.
You have a light, okay. Maybe that's just because Cyan is very quiet.
That could be. I think we get along pretty well.
Yeah.
A lot of people from different backgrounds. I would say more writer heavy than anything else.
Do you have anybody that has a production background?
Stuart Highcar does.
Okay.
A little bit, and I think Matt Haas does, and I do a little bit,
right?
Just from working with the equipment for the past year. It's not rocket science shooting a CEO walking across the stage talking about his billions, but it's something.
But it does take some level of knowledge.
I think we three have the most experience with production. Would be my guess. Lise actually does. She has a lot of audio experience. I'm not sure behind the camera. I don't think behind the camera.
She was on Kelly and Johnson's term 3 film. She was working on that set before she started in class this year.
Oh, really? Cool.
Because she was in the area and she just asked, like, hey, can you connect me with anybody that needs help? And so, she's been around a little while. I met her end of last term when I was helping Kelly with her film. But yeah, okay. So but that's good. That's good that you've got like some dynamic, some variation as far as what people can do.
Yeah.
The writing, that's going to come in real handy later on with like term 3, because now we're broken out into our mini cohorts for our writing class, and it's so they actually take you start out as a big group, you decide what projects you're working on, and then they split you out for some of the weeks with 3 or 4 different teachers. Who will then have their own kind of miniature meetings with you, sometimes one-on-one, sometimes as a small group, and they'll help you workshop your written final project just over a period of time. So like the class starts out with, at least for us, it started out with Kat O'Brien, and then now I have Kat O'Brien also for the breakout group, but some people have like Ron Falzone, some people have who else is with our term? Not Mariano this term. Terrence is one of the other teachers for Terrence Brown. So, yeah, it's
cool.
It's handy when you get to that level because you do get to start taking notes from people. And there's something called coverage that they'll talk about later on. Have you done coverage?
I've done
before?
a little bit.
A little bit. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good because I had no clue what it even was coming into it, but it makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know, nobody can read 400 scripts and also run a studio. Like they need someone to kind of, you know, bite size it for them or pick out the ones that are really going to be worthwhile to spend some time on.
Yeah. I had a friend who was doing script coverage in LA for a summer.
Okay.
And he is one of the smartest people I know. His name's Alex Lee. And he just reads super fast.
Yeah. So
he was getting through like a bunch of scripts a day. And so the executives were like, oh, you can read a lot. And just like kept putting more and more on him. So he was reading like 400 or 500 pages a day just at his job, like quickly annotating.
Wow.
Yeah, he's a wonder. He's now writing for ESPN, their esports division, specifically covering Super Smash Brothers Melee.
Interesting.
And while I was living with him actually in New York, and he wrote more than anyone I've seen. Just like constantly he would come home from his job where he was writing and write extra articles for ESPN.
I'm not that guy.
I'm not either.
So I came in with the goal trying to go to director, like, because that's what I have the speed for. Like I like taking whatever thing you write, stick in front of me, and like flip through and try and make it workable. Mm-hmm. You know, within whatever means I've got. If I can't fly up in the vomit comet and do zero gravity stuff, I got to figure out how to shoot this on the ground somehow, or how to alter the story in order to make it work. Mm-hmm. Like that's the stuff I enjoy doing. But yeah, that's insane. 500 pages. Ugh. That would kill me. I'm such a slow reader. Like it takes me 2 days to get through somebody's like spec script.
Yeah, I consider myself pretty fast, but tell me to read 500 pages a day and like annotate it and comprehend it enough to talk to my boss about it. No, no thanks. I'm good.
Well, cool. Well, in kind of wrapping up here, so if people want to try and track you down and see what you're up to as you go through the program, what's the best way to find you online?
Oh man, I am the worst about online.
No social media accounts?
I do. You can go to matthewherman.media. It is my very, very basic website.
Okay.
That has a link to my YouTube channel and some of the sketches I did at WashU.
Okay.
Besides that, just I don't know. Maybe if someone wants to create a Twitter account for me and start tweeting from it, I will then direct you to that because
you see at least like
refuse.
an Instagram account or something.
Oh, I hate it.
Really?
I hate Instagram.
Oh, I've gotten into it. That's the one that I'm most into now out of all of them. I still have a Facebook, but I have a Twitter, but just because I have to.
I hate all the different ecosystems. Like I deleted Snapchat and instantly like essentially lost like 5 friends that I was essentially only communicating with through Snapchat. And those people are just dead to me now. So sorry, friends.
That's so sad. All right, so MatthewHerman.media if you want to track him.
Don't look at it. It's not that great.
I know they have to go look at it now. You've undersold it so perfectly.
That's the plan.
Well, thank you for coming on, man. I appreciate
Thank you.
And that was Matthew Herman. Thank you to Matthew and to the Harold Ramis Film School and the Second City staff for their help. The song on this week's episode was Falling by Derek Evry. Find more of Derek's killer music at derekevry.com. That's DerekEvry. This show is recorded and edited by me, Tony Lazzeroni. If you want to hear more from me and my classmates, teachers, and a few special guests, make sure to subscribe to the podcast. If you have any questions or comments, send us an email at filmstudentpod@gmail.com or find us on Twitter and Instagram at filmstudentpod. And be sure to check out some of my and my classmates' work at filmstudentpod.com, where you can also find links to all of our past episodes. See you all next week. Class dismissed.